Okay, I've got some plying to do. I've got a couple quills that I spun up while I was at work this week, and I'm just going to go ahead and ply them on the dough deck now. This is the week of, what is it, today's the 15th. This will be going up on the 17th. It'll be going up on the 16th, but you guys will be seeing it on the 17th or later. This is the first time I am recording the podcast indoors. It's gotten too dark outside by the time I get off work to get these done, so unless I get them done on the weekend, I have to do them inside. So I'll be scouting a couple different venues for that, but hopefully something like this will work out anyways, though. It's been nice here, the weather has, in central Missouri this late in December. Hopefully it's been nice for all of you. It's still chilly enough that we can wear our knitwears if we want, but it is nice enough that you can get out and take advantage of some of the festivals and see some ball games without freezing. I've liked it. We're going to have to go on some walks pretty soon because that should also be nice with the weather the way it is. I'm going to have to break down and make myself a permanent model of the Lazy Kate because I've always liked this one, but it was a makeshift one that I was only going to use temporarily. And now that I've figured out that I really like the design, I need to come up with a permanent model that is easy to put cups or quills in and out of, or that I could make a bunch of them for friends and family if they like the ones that I have. This one's a little too improvised to reproduce for other people. I was glad to have this little corner with some white background so that I could apply this darker yarn without it just having to sit in front of something that was a flat white space. I like the texture on the doors and things of that nature, hoping that it'll break it up a bit. I knew I was going to be plying for this episode, but pretty soon I would like to slowly start kind of going over my drafting philosophy and long draw philosophy little by little through episodes, so that over time, if that's something that you're interested in, you can pick up incrementally instead of me trying to explain the whole thing in a sitting and you struggling with whether or not you understand or could fully see. The hope is that if I just talk about it as I go, but do it on several different episodes, that it'll be able to sink in a little more naturally. I got my spinning group this week, and that should be nice because it's December already, and there's no guarantee that, people will be meeting in January and February, because once the roads get bad, that's kind of some of the events you don't have to make it to is your knit group or your spinning group. Not at the risk of personal peril or roadway hazards. So it's nice that November was nice enough and December's been nice enough that I've been able to make my knitting groups and my spinning groups, and I'll be excited to see the other spinners this week before the holidays, see what everybody's working on. I'm going to pick up the pace here a little bit. Plying is one thing that doesn't take me a lot of time. I used to hate plying. For one, you've already spun the yarn, so it feels kind of redundant to sit here and twist it together, but also you're not exactly drafting, so it gets frustrating when you run into any kind of hassle or rat tail. So I didn't really know how to enjoy the process, but now that I've gotten used to it, and I think my Lazy Kate's doing a lot of the work, but it's been nice to just sit down and get to ply large quantities of yarn and roll it off into a ball and whatnot, and have any part of the process that you didn't used to like actually become enjoyable is a win-win as well, because that's taken away something that was work and adding something that's fun. It's a great benefit. And that's why I like the single treadle. I just switch to my left foot, and my right foot gets a break because I only have one treadle. If I had a double treadle, they would both still be working to accomplish the same thing. It really helps cut down on repetitive stress injuries and things of that nature. Alright, here is a rat tail. Oh, but it came out really easy. Perfect. I think something else that used to add to me not enjoying plying very much was that my singles were made. It wasn't that they were made thin, because now I can spin thin and it still be strong, but I did have some weak singles that when I would go to ply could come apart, and of course dealing with that, which that's not a big deal to me now, but at the time that I was learning to deal with that, along with untwisting rat tails and just keeping the whole thing going, it wasn't very enjoyable. Now my singles, even my thin singles, hold together really well because I've learned how to add the twist in them properly. So it comes off of the Lazy Kate easy because the singles are strong, and then the breaks that I have on the Lazy Kate do a good job of keeping the yarn taut so that I don't have to deal with rat tails, and the whole thing just has become so much easier because of that. If I do find it more of a challenge to record on the weekend, I might think about setting up a permanent spot for taping inside. It doesn't seem like I need a whole lot of space when I do this. It would be nice to have a little more space than what I'm set up for currently, but I'll have to check that out and see if I can leave it set up so that I can tape more often. I am getting yarn. It's a little fluffier down here, so what I'm running into is it's trying to grip itself while still on the cop, which isn't a problem and usually happens with wherever I stopped spinning after break. I spin while I'm at work, and the spot in the yarn where I've stopped spinning at the end of my break is usually a little more fluffy, and when I do go to pull it out, start up again at lunch or at another break, it doesn't, I don't get it all off. So when you go back to that spot when you're plying from the cob, that's when you'll run into yarn that's trying to grab itself and not spool off, which is fine if you know that, and if you can feel it in your hand, which it usually isn't a problem to feel that it's not coming off. All you have to do is reach down and pull a little bit of that fuzz loose, and then it'll unspin fine. We're getting close to running out of yarn on one cob. I might go ahead and de-ply what's left on the other cob so that I can spin that up to the end. So this yarn that I spin by default is usually between a fingering and a double knit. If I'm doing a supported long draw, it's easy for me to get a lace weight, but I would rather always do a unsupported long draw or a true long draw, and that usually ends up giving me a baby weight or something in there. And I'm talking about a baby weight after it's plied, or a lace weight after it's plied. So I don't know if you guys know about the Lazy Kate, but essentially what you want it to do is, if your yarn is being spun over here and your hand's back here, you kind of want your Lazy Kate splitting the difference. You want it halfway between how far your arm comes back and then where your arm starts out here. And that's because as you come back, you don't want to pull off so much yarn that when you bring it forward, then it rat tails on itself because it lets a lot of the slack out. So when you have the same amount coming off back behind it that you're pulling on in front of it, it doesn't do that. And so that's why you want to split the difference with the Lazy Kate in between you. Certainly if you put the Lazy Kate up by your wheel, I know a lot of wheels have built-in Lazy Kates, and that's for convenience, but that's not the best practice when you go to actually spin. You don't want that Lazy Kate right up by the wheel, because what happens is you draft back, and if you draft or you ply back 2 or 3 feet, as you bring it forward, you have 2 or 3 feet that you pulled out from that Lazy Kate that now doubles back on itself, and that's a bad situation for you to be in. So that's when you want to steer clear of pulling back and then moving forward with all that slack. Goodness, I had some really woolly yarn in this cob, and it is trying to grip itself. That's some good sheep. Makes soft wool that really wants to grab at itself. I'm still not in love with the Indian bracelet. It can be kind of bothersome to make from time to time. I like what it does, and I don't mind using it, but it's not as enjoyable as I've gotten with the where the plying has become enjoyable. Making the Indian bracelet is still not one of my favorite things. And we're getting right to the end of this first cop. Calling it the first cop because it's the one that ran out first. And now I will make an Indian bracelet with what's left of the other.